Programmet presenteras av betsafe.com.
Hi and welcome back to MMA Nytt and StudioMMA, and we've got Francis Carmont with us here, who's you're here to spoil the show a little bit. You're facing one of the Swedish debutants in the UFC, and your job is obviously to make the crowd on Saturday night pretty quiet. Are you? Does it matter to you at all? Do you matter that you're in Sweden, but your job is to keep the fans as quiet as possible?
Yeah, it's true. I come for win this fight. I'm ready for fight. I know I fight a Sweden guy. It's at home, but Saturday night the cage is my home.
And if you turn around, you can see the globe where you will be actually tomorrow. Not tomorrow night, but Saturday. You will be there tomorrow too for the weigh-ins. But on Saturday night, when the card takes place, the event sold out. It's been a big hype here in Sweden with the UFC coming here. But just like in France, there's been some naysayers, some negativity, but they managed to overcome it, and finally the UFC came to Sweden. Now, I know you're struggling some in France to get the UFC to come to France as well. Have you been involved in the process at all, or the production, so to speak, in order to get the UFC to France?
Yeah, I know the UFC make a lot of work for come in France. I believe maybe in 1 year they're going to come. They will be in France.
Today at the press conference, Magnus Cedenblad, your opponent, was at the press conference, and a lot of questions obviously by your cornerman, St-Pierre, who's going to be there for you, and a lot of questions to him how he feels about it, if he's concerned, and his answer was, as long as George doesn't jump into the cage, he's okay with it. But Magnus is a funny guy, but obviously it's the poster face of the UFC in your corner. Magnus' response was, you're in the cage, not George. But at the same time, having George in your corner, what does it mean to you?
It's very good for me because George is my guy, and when I see him in my corner, it's better for me, because when you see one person you see all the day in your corner, you must secure. On they see me a lot of technique, a lot of things. He tell me a lot of for be better in the octagon. I'm very happy to have my guy in my corner.
And you got some more guys with you here as well. Cyril Diabat will be there fighting himself, obviously. And you got some more support from France. We've got Czech Congo is here as well. How close are you guys, the French UFC fighters?
They don't have a lot of French guy in the UFC, but I believe in the couple of years they have a lot of French guy come for make a good result in the UFC events. Because in France the sport is young, and this sport is young, and they have a lot of judo guy, judo man,
right,
and Muay Thai guy, on they will be better with the time.
And the Swedish fighters, there's 5 Swedish fighters on the card in total, and they're all very close. They have a tight bond. They're not always from the same camp, but they do train together some. How close are you and the French fighters, and you and Czech, for example, you and Cyril?
In the past, I trained with Cyril Diabaté, and I know Czech Congo. I trained with Cyril maybe 1 or 2 years in the past, 5 years ago. And it's a good guy, but we don't train together. But I know him, I know Czech.
Because you train in Canada, correct? At
yeah.
TriStar Gym. How did the relationship between the two of you come, and the gym in Canada? How did you end up there?
I live in Montreal maybe 1 year, 2 years, and it's different because in Montreal they have a lot of sparring partners, and a good coach, a good champion, and it's different because when you want to go to the wrestling, to the boxing, to the Muay Thai, they are all in the same cell. And in France it's different because all is not together. You must go at Muay Thai gym for make Muay Thai, at wrestling for make wrestling, and you lose a lot of time for go in each sport.
And that's a lot of times the case in other smaller countries as well. Same thing in Sweden. George, what's your opinion about your kid who's going to fight on Saturday night?
Well, he's very well prepared, and Francis is aware that he's facing probably the most dangerous and the best martial artist he ever faced in his entire career, and he's more than ready for the challenge. And it's first time in Sweden for me. It's not the first time for him to come here, but I mean it's a great experience. I'm behind him 100%, and we're very confident that things gonna go down well for us.
And you obviously have to be in training camp and get ready, cut weight and so on. Is it nice to be able to be here and relax a little bit more and get a chance to tour the city and the country?
Yeah, I had a knee surgery, so I can't really train right now. So my job is to be there for Francis 100%. It's not about me this weekend; it's about him 100%. And yeah, it's a little bit less stressful for me right now. But when it's gonna be time to do the walk to the octagon with him, I'm just gonna be just as stressed as I am when I'm going to fight.
Now, you've been here before, and you know that Muay Thai is big in Sweden as well. MMA is perhaps to some, especially in the United States, surprisingly big as well. Have you been out in the streets? Do people recognize you? I'm sure it's not like in the United States, but do you get people to come up to you?
Yeah, I've been here since we've been here since Sunday, and yeah, it's a lot of people that loves MMA. They're mixed martial art fans, and they recognize. And it's good to see support from Sweden. It's my first time here, and I really enjoyed it, and I plan to come back.
Ah, nice. And Magnus Cederblad, talk to us a little bit about your opponent. He's very, very tall. Is he the tallest opponent you've ever faced?
I know you have a big size, 6.4 maybe, and
Yeah.
I know it's a good fighter. You have a good striking. He good in the grappling, but I make a hard training camp. I don't afraid about this. I know my job. I come here for make a good fight, and this is how I will be to do.
And some fighters really feel they go in with a game plan and a plan A and a plan B. Are you the type of guy that actually come up with a game plan for an opponent, or more like whatever happens is gonna happen anyways?
I make a game plan with my coach, but if I don't stay in the fixed game plans. If my game plan is not on, I'm going to change on. I'm ready for all the situation of the fight.
And now to both of you, you've been there a long time ago. This is your second fight in the UFC, correct?
Yeah.
4 out of the 5 Swedish fighters, sorry, 3 out of the 5 Swedish fighters are making their debut in the UFC. What's it like to walk into the octagon for the very first time? And these guys have a lot of pressure as well, doing it in their home country where most of the fans are there or there for them. What is it like? What's the difference between other martial art MMA organizations and the UFC?
It's different because
Go ahead, sorry.
it's sure it's different because the UFC is the most important organization in the world. All the the best fighters in the world fight to the UFC, and
Yeah.
so it have a lot of pressure when you go to the UFC because you don't want to make the champion for the guy for the UFC, and it shows it's different, but you must to be so cool for going the cage. It sure is difficult, but with the time they're going to call, they will be more relaxed.
And do you remember even?
Yeah, the thing when it's your first fight in UFC, this is the most prestigious organization in the world, and it's like the NFL of American football, is the Champions League of soccer, and the NHL of hockey. So for us, that's the ultimate goal, is to fight in UFC one day. And once we get there, we see a lot of very talented athletes that sometimes, because of the stress, because of the changing of environment, they don't perform as well as they're supposed to. We see it very, very often. But Francis did it first time, and now what they call the jetters are out, so he's gonna be good to go. But everybody react a different way.
Now, you haven't had the opportunity to do so, unfortunately, as of yet at least, fighting at home in front of your home crowd. We were in Toronto, even though not your home city, but still your home country, 55,000 people. Does it add extra pressure to fight in front of the home crowd?
It could be good and it could be bad. It could be good in a way that you have more support, and more support give you more motivation, more positive energy. It could be bad also because it give you an extra pressure, give you more stress, and it's not like when you're fighting somewhere else. Even before the fight, the anticipation, the animosity is still present all the time, 24/7 in your environment. Even after the fight or even before the fight, it's always there. So it could be a good thing or a bad thing. You try to, as a guy that I've been fighting in my own country three times for UFC, I was trying to focus on the positive thing of it instead of focusing on the negative.
Right. Now, in Sweden, we're talking a little bit earlier with Marshall, who's a representative for Europe, about the gap. In Sweden, we have the hardcore MMA fans, as we saw, the tickets sold out in 3 hours, which is the fastest outside of the United States in the UFC's history. But we also have the naysayers, and there's a big gap between them. Even professional boxing was banned in Sweden up until a few years ago. And how do you narrow that gap? And we've seen on TV lately a lot here as well, a very negative portrayal of mixed martial arts. If you had a chance to speak to these people, what would you say? And you will most likely, if the day the UFC gets to come to France.
I want to tell him the UFC is very big on to make a lot of work for see at all the people. It's mixed martial arts. It's a different sport. It's boxing. It's wrestling. It's jiu-jitsu. It's judo. It's karate. It's not a fight in the street. It's a sport. It's a real sport. This is what I want to do to tell him.
And you've been there before. You're a little bit of the poster boy. Have you had the opportunity to sit down with naysayers, so to speak, people that are against the sport?
I've talked to many people in my country about it. When the sport was illegal back then. And the thing that people need to understand is it's UFC, the sport is called mixed martial art for a reason, because it's come from martial art. In traditional martial art, the first thing you learn when you step into the dojo, you learn about respect. You need to respect the sensei, the guy that teach you. And also you learn how to be humble, because you cannot be good day one when you first start martial arts. So you learn, you get your butt beaten a little bit, so you learn how to be humble and you learn about respect. And for myself, martial art probably saved my life in a way that I would have the way I grew up, I would probably be not as a good person if I would have grew up without it. The sport of martial art, that's what keep me on the straight line and helped me be where I am today. And I think it can help other people. It can do the same for other people and help them to keep the line of respect and dedication and discipline that they need to have for their life.
Absolutely. Guys, I want to thank you for coming into the show. By the way, your English is great, so you can definitely do more interviews in English. Look, I wish you best of luck on the Saturday night, and we'll see you in the Globe on Saturday night. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Programmet presenteras av Betsay.com.